So I'm going to be talking to you about the sharing sub sandwiches task. So for part A, it asks for you to consider how you would put 5 students at a table and what you would do if you had 24 students in your class. So I wanted to show you that I started creating tables where I put 5 students at each table. That gave me 4 full tables of 5, and I had 4 children left over that would go to a different table. So there's 5 total tables, 4 with 5 students and 1 with 4. Part B asked what would happen or what it would look like if each table received 1 less sub sandwich than there are people at the table. So for the 5 students for these tables, all 5 students would have to share 4 subs. So in this representation, I drew out my 4 subs, each person, and split each sub into fifths this way, and each person would get 1/5 of each sub, giving them a total of 4/5. For the table that had 4 students, they would get 3 subs. We would take each sub and split them into fourths, and they would get 1/4 of each of the 3 subs, giving them 3/4 of a sub. That's using the set model. If we look at the pattern blocks, if we're considering 5 hexagons as one whole, again, there are 4 subs to be shared with the 5 students. Each of the 5 students would get 1/5 of each sub, giving them 4/5 in total. And then if we look at the 4 students sharing 3 subs, we let 4 hexagons equal one whole. Here are my 3 subs. Each of the students would get 1/4 since there are 4 people sharing, giving them a total of 3/4 of a sub. And then if you look at the Cuisenaire rods, again you can demonstrate if this is one whole sub, then the 5 students sharing 4 subs would get 1/5 of each sub, giving them 4/5. And then if we look at the table of the 4 students sharing 3 subs, each student would get 1/4 of the sub, giving them a total of 3/4. So that's how you would represent 4 students sharing 3 subs, giving them 3/4, and 5 students sharing 4 subs, giving them 4/5 of the sub, using pattern blocks, Cuisenaire rods, and a set model. Now part C asked if all students in each group got the same amount, and if not, who gets more, and how do we know? So if you look at the representations on the screen, unfortunately the students are not getting the same amount. The students that are getting 4/5 of a sub would end up getting more than the students getting 3/4 of a sub. So if you look here, I demonstrated this using the Cuisenaire rods. So again, this was the 1 sub that was put down. So if the 5 students are sharing the 4 subs, this would be 1 sub that they were sharing. And this would be the amount that they would get. So 1 out of the 5 pieces. So they get 1/5 of 1 sub. So you could put that together with the 4 pieces that they're supposed to get because they're sharing 4 subs and see that this is the total amount that they would get. 4/5 of a sub. Okay? And then if you look down here, let's skip here, if this is the 1 sub that the 4 students are sharing, they're going to get 1/4 of the sub. And since they're sharing 3 subs, they're going to end up getting 3/4 of a sub. And looking just at these 2 models, you can see that 4/5 is going to be more than or greater than 3/4. So the students that are getting 4/5 of a sub are getting more to eat than the students that are getting 3/4 of a sub. You can also see this using a number line, the linear model. So I started by showing you that, again, the 4 students sharing 3 subs are going to get 1/4 of each sub. And in the end, they're going to get 3/4. And then looking again at the 5 students sharing 4 subs, they're going to get 1/5 of a sub. And in total, they're going to get 4/5 because they're sharing 4 subs. So then one way to show who's getting a greater amount or a less amount is to change the fraction where they have they're in like terms. So looking at taking the fifths and subdividing them into fourths, and that's what we did here. So I labeled my fifths and then I subdivided into fourths. So then I could see on my number line where 1/5 was, 1/4, 2/5, 2/4, 3/5, 3/4, 4/5, and of course 4/4 and 5/5. So 3/4 would be right here, and 4/4 would be right here. So as you can see, 4/5, the students getting 4/5 of amount of sub is greater than the students that are getting 3/4 of amount. And part D asked, is this a fair way to allocate sub sandwiches? And unfortunately it's not, because the students that, look, using the visual representations, you can see that students that are getting 4/5 of a sub are getting more to eat than the students that are getting 3/4 of a sub.